But it's not very good.
Mr. Chairman, my fellow candidates, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for the chance to talk to you tonight, albeit briefly. First of all, we're having a by-election in circumstances which you have not been told about, and in any democracy, you should know why now. You should be coming within 2 weeks of the election being kept in the dark. I regret that. And I think one party owed you the truth well before the last election. You know, some crude American once described politics as being who gets what, where, when, why, and how. Well, I hope we're not quite like that. But I bet people are thinking all around the Northland electorate, in all the small villages and hamlets and towns these last few nights, what really in it for me? Is there a future for me and my children and children yet unborn in this part of the world? Is the glorious part of New Zealand, which was once our capital, to be always forgotten in recent New Zealand politics? And for 77 years, you've backed one political party with the exception of 1966 to 1969. All the rest of the time, voting solidly, and the question is, what did you get in return? Everybody knows that loyalty is owed both up and down. What have we got in return here? Well, this is the fact. We have more low decile schools, that's 1 and 2. Over 50% of the elected schools are low decile 1 or 2 than nearly everywhere else in the country. And you can't solve that with simplistic answers about caring for education. You solve it by picking people's economy up as a person, as an individual, as a family, in a community, and as a province. They say we're a backwater up here. They say lots of things about us. But what they all have to admit is, we here have been forgotten for far too long. We've been secularised and marginalised and expected now to go along with a slogan that says, working for Northland. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right as we speak, there is a company up here about to close down, going broke, 250 men, mainly men, and all their families are going to lose their work up here. And it's because of economic policies designed not for export provinces like Northland, but rather the overseas owned banks and insurance companies and money traders and speculators of Auckland. And in this election, Northland, for the first time for a long time, has the chance of a lifetime to make a statement and send a message that the political power brokers of Wellington, in the corridors of power, and all those that should not be there but still control the country, will never ever forget it. But you pass this chance up, it will not come again. Not in your lifetime. So these are critical days, 15 days out. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot have the median family income being $51,000 when the national average is $72,000 and think that's a fair go. You can't talk about education at any level unless the families are wealthier. And I'm not talking about just families unless business is wealthy here. It's hard to believe, you know, with all the talk about Northland being what it is, and Mayor Mai and Whangarei the other day said it, and the rest say it as well, we're a backwater. How can the closest part in communications, defence, foreign issues and trade be Northland and be a backwater? This is how things upside down. And I want you in this election to turn it the right way up for the first time for a long time. This electorate is in the top half of the export wealth creators of this country. So how come all the figures are down the bottom? It's because they tell you that they want to represent you, but the moment they get to Wellington, they never, ever raise a finger. Now, I'm going to close by saying this to you. I've proven in 10 days, 12 days flat, what you can do for Northland. We've got a bridge a day. They all know that. And second, 2 days ago, I said, Mr. Key's going to come up here. He's going to come up here and say he's going to wind out the broadband real fast. Well, the way we're going, if another 2.5 years, we'll be all solved. Because they ignored you. And to think if they darken the skies now, somehow you're going to forget. Ladies and gentlemen, I make you one promise. You vote for me, and future in this country, in the corridors of power, there'll never be an economic or social issue of any importance without they first ask themselves, yes, but what does Northland think? Now, send them a message.
Any questions?
Any questions I can't answer, I'll tell you before it's patently obvious. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Peters, I was wanting to know your stance on the Northern Motorway extension, please. Puhoi to Wellsford.
Puhoi to Wellsford, fine. Excepting if you're saying Puhoi to Wellsford and do what they've done thus far with the extension, totally forget the rest of Northland, think that Whangarei is the end of it, or come to a part of the electorate which is Auckland City, which they rammed you into without any consultation whatsoever, then that's not the choice. I'm for that, but I want to see all the rest of this electorate developed properly as well. It's not one or the other. You've been neglected for so long. You've got to get a special deal now. And I know the way you'll get it. You give them a great big kick where the sun don't shine on the 28th of March.
Right, any further questions?
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering what your affiliation with Northland is.
Well, you're wondering what my affiliation with Northland is? If you go down to the Waipu Memorial there, you'll see a plaque there with my name on it. But my family came here via Nova Scotia from the Isle of Skye. Just in case there's a National Party people running around telling you that I'm not from here. Then if you go to the other side, we've been here for unlimited time, only constrained by a lack of anthropological knowledge. That's how long I've been in the law.
Please, if there's anyone asking questions, make sure everyone can hear, because if they don't hear the question...
I'll repeat it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
North Rodney has over 600 unsealed roads. Auckland City Council tells us there'll never be any money. They dribble out $1 million a year over 10 years, but it's never going to happen. We lost the subsidy on our rural roads. We used to get 50%. So there's been nothing done in this area for 4 years.
Well, sir, that's the tragedy of it all. I mean, you got wound into a super city on the promise that your rates would be reduced. Well, you know, I wouldn't hold your breath if I was you. And then they're totally urban focused, and you've got the oppression of an urban majority on a mass area of rural people. It's just repugnant to any sense of democracy. And I can stand in front of you and say I opposed this super city from the day it first arose. And it didn't arise with Rodney Hyde. It arose with a speech that John Keane made, and you can find it easily. He was behind it. When the ACT Party picked it up, they went with it. And then just to make sure that it wouldn't be democratic, they put a group of unelected people on as the Maori group. And I bet there's not one Maori here got to vote for them at all. Yes?
I have a question around economic development and the coastline around Northland. We had a fisheries settlement in the 80s where 20% of the fishing quota was allocated to Māori. I'd just like to ask a question around how and why that return hasn't come back into Northland, and if you're able to comment on that. It seems like it's been sold off to the highest bidder and no return and no benefit to the people it was supposed to benefit. How can you respond to that?
With the greatest of ease. I remember that, it's 1986. And Matt Rada was there. I want you to get the history so you understand. 1986, Matt Rada was there in the conference. He said, at the end of this signing, now Maori can go fishing. Let me tell you who's catching Maori fishing quota right now. Foreign ships and foreign crews, added value offshore and no real value to two groups of people, the local economy here or the Maori people, in the way it should be.
Is that because it was leased to the highest bidder?
No, it wasn't leased. It was sold. It was the first transfer. No, excuse me. It was the first transfer of state assets. Maori got, like the other private enterprises got, they got Maori, they got fishing quota. It was not leased, it was sold.
Yeah, I understand they got it, but it was leased from that point on, and that never...
Well, I understand that, that's my point.
Opportunity was taken out of the north.
Well, look, if you know the answer, why are you asking the question? No, with the word of respect, you don't know. I followed Maori fisheries enormously closely. I was on the primary fishing industry board. I have been a person who's watched it because of the circumstances way back then. I personally am for the New Zealandisation of New Zealand fishing resources. Catch it here, process it here, add value here, and that's the only way we're going to make it as an export nation, not just in that, in forestry, in all primary production. That's what the Scandinavians do. They're far more wealthy than us. But we used to do that and we've stopped doing it.
One more question. Time's running out. Over here.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Peters, you're already in Parliament. I just would like to work out, or have you tell me, how it is that Northland is going to be better off if you win and we have one less representative from Northland in Parliament.
Well, if I win, you have a representative of Parliament from Northland, which I most definitely am, sir, and someone who hits the ground running, who doesn't have to spend half the year finding where the parliamentary toilets are, who's on the front bench, not on the very back bench, and more importantly, you're right though in one way, I'm the only candidate here who will be an MP on the 29th of March, no matter which way you vote. But I got asked by a lot of people in this electorate to stand, and I thought about it very long, and I thought, well, they're right. They've been forgotten, been marginalised, and they believe that they need a strong, experienced voice, and I've set out to prove that I am that in a long career, and I can use it for Northland. And in the space of 13 days, I certainly proved that. This has become the epicenter of New Zealand politics. I want to stay that way into the future as well. You are right, but if you think that I am not as Northland as anyone on this stage, then you don't know my background.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Well, we're now open for a few minutes of general questions, either to all candidates or one in particular. Bill Townsend.
Now, my question to all of you is, if you are elected, will you initiate a legislative change to get this area out of Auckland, which is the desire of 94% of the people here? Now, I just need a yes-no answer from all of you, starting from Mr. Peters and we'll go on.
Well, with respect, it's not a yes-no answer. Let me tell you why. I utterly oppose the super city. I did it from the time that Rodney High turned up in a yellow jacket, talking codswallop, when he rammed it down your throat and Franklin as well. That's my position then. That's my voting record. The second thing you've got to understand is the Local Government Commission is utterly against you. It's a tool of the national government. It is ramming amalgamations down here already in Rodney and Franklin into Auckland Super City. It's trying to ram it down the Wellington people and Wairarapa as well, and also in the Hawke's Bay, just to name three. It's out there to control your destiny without any referendum at all. And you can try and win your case, and I sympathise with you big time. But you've got to change the government's attitude so it starts listening to you. That's my answer.
Okay, the lady over here.
My name is Penny Bright. I've opposed the Auckland Super City from day one, 5th of September 2006. I've stood as an Auckland mayoral candidate twice. I beat Auckland Council in court this Tuesday because I haven't paid rates for over 8 years because they're not telling us where the money's going. Now, what is really important is I need to take a case to the High Court for a declaratory judgment based on my rates, invoices and assessments which do not comply with the law. The problem is, with this stinking Kaipara District Council Rates Validation Act, that sets one hell of a precedent. And what I want to know with all the candidates, who supports the repeal of the Kaipara District Council Rates Validation Act.
Well, that's a great question to all the rest, but not to me. I went to Mangawhai twice to protest about it. I went to the court in Whangarei against it. I'm utterly against parliamentarians, and Mr. Sabin did it, and all his parliamentary colleagues, and dare I say the ACT Party, which apparently changed its mind tonight. Apart from all the other bunkum they told you about me not knowing Wellsford is in the electorate. I was on the Campbell show, answering questions about the electorate, got them all right, except I didn't know who the beauty contest winner was. Some of you know that. And they said, where is the racecourse where the turf meets the surf? And I said, Ruakaka, but it's not in the electorate. I did not say Wellsford surf. And don't you and your colleagues and David Farah go on the spinning parade of lies, traducing and defaming someone when the transcripts are all there. But back to your case, having dealt with it. I went to as Mr. Rogan knows, I went to Mangawhai twice because I could not believe that Parliament was going to ratify the corrupt behaviour of the Council. And I dare I say it, a whole lot of sex was involved. It's fascinating, there should be a book about it. All covered over. Auditor General for 5 years, screwing up, not doing her job. That of course should have immediately gone into being a responsibility of central government, she being an officer of it. But no, what happened? They have all this utter screw up, costs ballooning up to 93 million in the end, and all at the hands of the people in this part of the country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what this election's about, then go on doing what you did before. But that's the record, and there's no other MP or political party that did that. I'm not coming to you to say, believe my promises. I'm asking you to believe my background on actions. And if I have half the chance and the political power, I'll get rid of that legislation, ratify the central government responsibility, and clear you of this exorbitant corrupt debt.
Question, please. Up the back.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a very brief question for Mr. Peters.
Let's hope it's a brief answer.
It's a yes. It's a yes or no. When the Resource Management Act review legislation comes into Parliament, which is designed to cut red tape, cut costs for both public and private projects for areas like Northland, which you seem to be suddenly concerned with, will New Zealand First, yes or no, support that legislation? Yes or no?
Sir, I was concerned with this electorate long before you. Right? There are people here making criticism tonight who weren't even born in this country. Let me just say on this last question, when they all voted for the Kuiper legislation validation bill, that is their party position. All the rest is talk. We all know that. One party and one leader said, we're not going to have a bow with it. Now, on the other question, why would I give you an answer to legislation I have never seen? I mean, you and your ilk vote for the TPPA when you've never even seen one term of it. Now, I was a lawyer once. I never got a client to sign a blank cheque or a blank contract. And when I see it, when I approved of it, when my parties discussed it, then I'll give you an answer. But I'm not going to be like somebody gets up on this stage and tells an electorate borne down by forgetfulness and by neglect that I'm going to vote for something that none of us has ever seen. No, it's a no to an idiot question, yeah.